at all. They have triple sessions. They have classes of 80 or 90 in a class. Really, the situation is very, very serious in a lot of our cities.
We now acknowledge the question from UP Iloilo with Professor Mary Rosie Bueno as the moderator.
Good afternoon. We have a question here from Professor Celia Parcon of the Division of Humanities, College of Arts and Sciences.
Good afternoon, Father. My question is, in its pursuit of academic excellence, UP has been accused of putting itself on an ivory tower detached from the critical mass. To try and rectify this, the university undertook some activities, perhaps the most significant of which recently being the Kaya Pahinungod program. Now, as a friendly outsider, can you share your candid and honest observation of how the UP, now this national university, has actually put itself in the service of the nation?
It's a little difficult because the extent of my own knowledge is not that broad. But all I simply want to say is that whether it's UP or other universities or the country, the challenge of poverty remains there. I think the situation of the Philippines is that of all our neighboring countries, we are the worst performers in terms of making a difference on poverty. So it's not unique to UP, but I think for all of us, it is a challenge we have to face. And I think for all of us, if we care for this country, we have to see it as the most serious challenge. And quite honestly, I do not see how it is possible for the Philippines to move up unless we come to terms with poverty. And why do they emphasize elementary and high school education? I quote Amartya Sen quite often, and he says, poverty is a poverty of resources, kulang sa pera, but above all, he says it's a poverty of capability, kulang sa kakayahan. And it is basically education and health that create capability. To understand it, you could look at it negatively. You have a poor person, you can give that person money or opportunity, pero kung walang pinag-aralan o may TV, wala rin mangyayari. No? So, and why do I emphasize education even more than health? Because you see, if we finally got oil tomorrow and we had lots and lots of money, maybe you could solve the health problems in a few years. But all the children who never got an education, you cannot make up for it. You cannot make up for 10 or 12 years of lost education. And that's why for me it's so fundamental. And that's why we have to tackle it in a big way, because every year there are school children going to the system. And you cannot 10 years later say, okay, we'll make up to you. That's why for me it is so central to attend to it.
We now acknowledge a question from UP Baguio with Professor Willie Alangui as the moderator.
Good afternoon from UP Baguio. We have a question from Dr. Chofina Rapanut. She's the Vice Chancellor of Administration and faculty member of the Department of Mathematics and Computer Science.
Good afternoon, Father Nebres. This is my question. The UP Charter specifically projects itself as a research university, but even our undergraduate programs have already attempts of research efforts. Now, what areas of research can you suggest would enhance the development of a scientific mind?
I think if there are areas of research, of course, that are international, but I think it's also important for us to look at areas of research that are very central for the country. Migration, for example. 10% of our population are migrants, and so that is really a very Philippine problem. Environment, especially environmental disaster management. We have disasters every year. So I think the thing would be to focus on research in order to solve very fundamental problems. Research as well, for example, and what can really improve public or elementary higher education, or public elementary and high school education. So for me, what The thing kasi with these things, as I said, is that they are not disciplinal. If you want to, for example, if you want to tackle environmental disaster management, you have to do the scientific part, but you have to organize the local governments to respond, because you might say a typhoon is coming, it's gonna hit you, but if you have not worked with the local governments and the people so they're not ready, wala pa rin mangyayari. So the problem is that you cannot have, you'd have to have a research team that's multidisciplinary, and they genuinely have to be focused on solving the problem, because the solution of any of these problems cannot come from any particular discipline or any particular department. And I think that's the challenge to universities. We're organized around disciplinal lines, we're organized around departmental lines, and, but the solution of any large-scale problem crosses so many lines.
We can now entertain 2 questions from UP Manila. Yes, please. Kindly identify yourself.
Hello. Ako po si Robert Go, mag-aaral, ika-4 na taon ng Agham Pampolitika. Magandang hapon po, Father.
Magandang hapon din.
Ang akin pong tanong ay tungkol sa call centers. Kasi po, may mga kakilala po ako na nasa 2nd taon nila sa kolehiyo, na minsan ay pumapasok na sila sa mga call centers bilang pantawid sa mga pagkukulang pinansyalan po. Kaya nga lamang, pagdating nila ng panahon na kumikita na sila, tumitigil na sila sa pag-aaral, nako-concentrate na lang po sila sa call center. Katulad po sa goal natin na mapalago yung pag-aaral sa agham at teknolohiya, tapos nais rin po nating labanan yung kahirapan sa ating bansa. Ano po ang pananaw nyo tungkol dito sa bagay na ito, na yung mga mag-aaral na pupunta sa call center, hindi na napagpapatuloy ang pag-aaral, pero kumikita naman sila at nakakatulong sa kanilang pamilya? Yun lang po.
Salamat. It's a bit difficult to generalize, medyo mahirap to generalize, kasi I do know some students, actually some of our scholars in Ateneo, who actually take a part-time job with the call center, kasi even though we give them a scholarship and support, they have to support their families. Kung minsan sila lang kumikita. No? So meron naman yung nasa call center, but they continue with their studies. But I think sometimes you have people who get there, and the need is very urgent, not just for themselves, but for their families. As we know, in the Philippines, the tradition very often is that the older children have to take care of the younger ones. So mahirap to generalize. No? You might have somebody, an older child, may 3, 4 na kapatid, and they have to stay in the call center para makapagpatuloy yung mga kapatid nila. So I don't have any general solution for it. Of course, the ideal would be that they might work in a call center for a year, earn enough money, and go back to school. That would be the ideal. Pero yung nga, pwede rin mangyari na talagang kailangan siya ng pamilya, and so they have to stay there. So I guess you just have to give them better counseling to help them to address the present. Pero kung sana, papag-isipan din nila na para sa kanilang kinabukasan, it would be better if they would finish college.
In the interest of time, we can entertain just one last question. Yes, please.
Good afternoon, Father Nebres. I'm Ben Francis Rances, 4th year taking up BA Social Sciences major in Area Studies. My question has something to do with volunteerism. I've been working with groups in Ateneo de Manila University, teaching high school students during summer in areas like English, math, science, and self-enhancement exercises. I would like to ask how volunteerism can contribute to poverty alleviation. Thank you.
Certainly, all the work that I described for you that we do in Payatas, we do have a small staff, pero a lot of the work is done by our students. Yung mga tutoring for them, even yung ginagawa naming mga profiling of the schools, they are the ones who go and do the profiling. So we depend a lot on volunteerism for that kind of work. So volunteerism is very, very important. And for some of them, it becomes also their life work. So some of them eventually decide that this is really what they want to do with their life. So importante talaga, and I thank you for helping. It is Alay ni Ignacio. I don't know if that's what you help with. They do tutoring for or pathways. I don't know which group you work with, but we do tutoring every summer, as you know, and then during the school year to help public high school students to be able to get scholarships eventually in college. And malaking bagay talaga yung the work that students do. So thank you for volunteering, and I think that it's really through the generosity of many like you that opportunity comes for other people younger than yourself. Maraming salamat for that.
Thank you very much, Father Nebres. In the interest of time, we will not be able to entertain more questions, but I'm sure that Father Nebres will be happy to get your questions through email.
Sure.
May I now request our President, Dr. Emerlinda Roman, to award the Certificate of Recognition to Father Nebres.
Thank you very much. This is the 16th lecture in this series, and I have attended all but 2 lectures because I had other official engagements. But easily I can say, of the 14 lectures that I attended, this is probably one of the best lectures.
Thank you, Dr. Roman.
So,
Thank you.
thank you, Father, for a very interesting and a very thought-provoking lecture. As you know, at the end of the year, we will put together all the lectures, and sometime in next year, early next year, I think I already mentioned this to our community, we are going to have a conference involving not just the faculty but the students and the staff, where we will go back to the lectures and talk among ourselves about how we can develop in our students, or how we can improve our pursuit of character building among our students, and how we can strengthen a sense of country or a sense of service among our students and our faculty. And I think we have a lot to learn from the lecture or the presentation of Father Nebres. For example, one interesting question is, how much of the analytical mind should we develop, and how much of the synthetic mind are we going to develop? So there are many things that I think we can draw from the presentation of Father Nebres. Thank you very much, Father Nebres. And so I am very pleased to present to you the Certificate of Appreciation. By the way, when I invited Father Nebres, I sent a letter. I followed up after 2 weeks, and when I spoke with him over the phone, he immediately said yes.
Thank you.
And
I'm honored.
he has always considered UP a friend.
Yeah.
So thank you,
I've always been a
Father.
friend. Thank you very much, Dr. Roman, and thank you to all of you. We've really been friends. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Sure, I'll just do that there. Thank you. Dr. Mayor, thank you very much.
Thank you, President Roman, and thank you,
Thank you.
Reverend Father
Thank you very much.
Nebres. On behalf of the Centennial Lecture Series Committee, we thank our